Greetings, my name is Michael Fackrell, and today I'd like to address something that I've been hearing on YouTube, and that is the idea that Christians are retards. That anyone who believes in God is a fool, is ignorant, doesn't know anything. Because all people of good education should know by now that God doesn't exist and that science has disproved God. In fact, everybody should realize that God is dead. That's what the philosopher Nietzsche said in the 19th century. That guy went crazy and he's dead now, but I tell you, Jesus Christ is still alive. Here's a book I'd recommend. It's called God's Undertaker: Has Science Buried God? By Professor John Lennox. And John Lennox is a reader in mathematics at Oxford University. He debates people like Richard Dawkins, and I think that he wins hands down. In any case, he presents powerful, compelling evidence that God is real, that there's a designer. Nature testifies to it. The Bible says that men are without excuse because what may be known about God is clear to them, but these guys really put teeth into it. They get down to the scientific details which really show how unreasonable it is to believe that everything came out of nothing for no reason and with no designer. He's not the only guy with a PhD that strongly believes in the existence of God and believes that nature points to the existence of God. Here's another fellow. His name is Edgar Andrews, and he wrote a book, Who Made God? And I recommend this book as well, which I've read. It's got some nice endorsements here. But this guy is a scientist of the first order. Professor Edgar H. Andrews, BSc, PhD, D.Sc, F Institute of Physics, FIMM, C.Eng, C Physics, is Emeritus Professor of Materials at the University of London and an international expert on the science of large molecules. In 1967, he set up the Department of Materials at Queen Mary College, University of London, and served both as its head and later Dean of Engineering. He has published well over 100 scientific research papers and books, together with 2 Bible commentaries, and works on science and religion and theology. His book, From Nothing to Nature, has been translated into 10 languages, and he's been a consultant to Dow Chemicals USA and other institutions. Now, having a DSc is an honour that not every scientist is given. You can have a PhD and call yourself doctor, that's great. But a DSc is something beyond that, and this guy's got one. He wrote a brilliant book, Who Made God?, where he debunks a lot of the arguments of people like Richard Dawkins and others that want to rail against the existence of God. All of these scientists who hate God are going to give account to him anyway, whether they believe in him or not. The evidence is there, it's very powerful, that the universe did not create itself, it had a finite beginning, and it is organised in a way that points to intelligent design. Speaking of intelligent design, I've got another book here, Darwin Strikes Back by Thomas Woodward, and this book is really a little bit tongue-in-cheek with the title, but what it's saying is that Darwin was a revolutionary thinker that went against the status quo of the scientific establishment. And today the status quo of the scientific establishment in the area of biology and earth sciences and other things is definitely in the idea of evolution, undirected evolution, random chance, natural selection, all those things, undirected forces, physical laws that got there we don't know how, somehow making everything we see today. Well, that's scientific orthodoxy today. It's really not science at all, it's naturalism. He's saying that Darwin would probably strike back at this because Darwin was unorthodox. And you know what? Today, the unorthodox people are the ones who believe in intelligent design, the ones who point to the evidence for intelligent design, people like William Dembski, a brilliant mathematician and philosopher, Michael Behe, a biochemist. The list goes on and on. Hugh Ross, an astronomer. We could talk about others. I've got another one here. This is by Guillermo Gonzalez, The Privileged Planet. It points to all sorts of powerful evidences that our planet is very special in one particular way. It's the only planet that we know of that's really capable, or that's really seems to be designed to make scientific discovery possible. You know, you could place a planet in another part of the universe and it wouldn't be possible to make all the astronomical observations that we make on Earth. God's not against science, the true sense of science, which is discovery and understanding how he made things work. God's not against that. He in fact designed the planet so that we could go and play and discover all these amazing things about how he did stuff. What God is against, of course, is unbelief, refusing to give thanks to God, and suppressing the truth that may be known about God in unrighteousness. This God will not tolerate, and this is what's going to be judged on the last day, amongst other things. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that Christians aren't retards. You can be a theist of the highest intellectual status. And some of these guys with PhDs and doctorates of science and so on have proven that. They give very powerful arguments. I myself am a science graduate. I'm not much of a scientist, but my father, he is a PhD in applied mathematics, and he's a Christian theist and an expert in general relativity, special relativity, black holes and all that stuff. My father definitely believes in the existence of God and knows God. So there you have it. These people that are saying Christians are retards, they have no understanding of what science has demonstrated, well, they just need to check out the facts, because ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance will lead you to destruction. So please, take a look at what some of these authors say. Michael Behe, William Dembski, Hugh Ross, Edgar Andrews. There's quite a few of them. Even have a look at Philip Johnson, who's a lawyer, professor of law, and he really exposes how these people have hijacked science and turned it into a kind of naturalistic dogma. So check it out. I might get back to you on this with more videos, and